Hi, good morning, and welcome to this webinar. That's going to be an introduction to Qt Creator. My name is Gabriel Dietrich, and I'm a consultant at the Qt company. I started working in Qt back in 2009, and I started doing some R&D in our office in Oslo, Norway. And since end of 2015, I moved to Santa Clara in what is today rather cloudy California. Before we get started, let me run through some practicalities. This webinar will be recorded and will be shared within 2 days. So please feel free also to share with your peers and colleagues. This webinar is interactive, so also feel free to use the Q&A window to ask questions. I will reference them at the end of the webinar or during the webinar in between topics. So let's get started. What we're going to talk about today is about Qt Creator, as the title implies. So we'll see what Qt Creator is. We'll get to come with some definition. We'll see how you're supposed to get it. And then we'll jump into the application itself, and we will look how to search and navigate around your project files. We will see some examples of refactoring, sorry, and also how to debug your application. And finally, we'll go through some of the basic settings in Qt Creator. So this is comes from the Wikipedia Qt Creator page, and is the summary at the beginning, like most articles on Wikipedia. And I think it's a nice definition because not only because it's Wikipedia, but also because it adds some objectiveness to the definition itself. So it reads like this: Qt Creator is a cross-platform C++, JavaScript, and QML integrated development environment, which is part of the SDK for the Qt GUI application development framework. It includes a visual debugger, integrated GUI layout, and forms designer. The editor's feature includes syntax highlighting and auto completion, but purposely not that. Other plugins are available. So let's go a bit point by point through this definition. First, it's a cross-platform application. It's mostly developed with Qt. Also, it has a few dependencies. Application, it will run on all desktop platforms. Qt supports. So expect it to use it. You can use it on Mac OS, Windows, and Linux without any problem. Second point is about C++, JavaScript, and QML. C++ is the language of choice for Qt. Qt is a C++ framework. And so, yes, naturally, we support this language in Qt Creator. QML is Qt's declarative language that is used, among other places, for Qt Quick UI framework. This is our new generation UI framework, and in some way QML can be seen as an extension of JavaScript. Actually, you can integrate JavaScript code inside QML files. So that explains why we also support JavaScript. And support for those languages is not just that we're going to provide syntax highlighting and so on. It's really deep inside support, like Qt Creator communicates with the QML and JavaScript engine, and from the C++ side, it communicates with our code model inside Qt Creator. More about this a bit later. It's an integrated development environment, and the keyword, again, I will come back to this, but the keyword is integrated. It's not just a set of tools that we put together in a UI. We try to get these tools work together. It's part of the SDK for Qt GUI application development framework. And actually, the easiest way to install Qt Creator is while you install the SDK. It will automatically come and install it for you while you install it, a new version of Qt. There are other ways we'll see in a minute. It has a visual debugger. It doesn't come with a debugger. Of course, what it does is it communicates with the platform available debugger, and it will visualize the stack trace. It would visualize objects on the stack. It would visualize threads available and so on. And since Qt Creator knows about Qt, it will nicely show you Qt types. It has an integrated Gui Designer. Actually, it has not only one but two Gui Designers. It has the more traditional widgets Gui Designer that used to be a separate application, but now it's also integrated into Qt Creator. And it also has a Qt Quick UI Designer. As I mentioned before, Qt Quick is our next generation or newer generation UI framework, and we support it. We support it via inside Qt Creator as well. It also features syntax highlighting. Of course, this is 21st century, so yes, we do have syntax highlighting. And auto-completion. The auto-completion, I mentioned it a bit quickly before, comes from the fact that we support all these languages inside Qt Creator. And again, we don't support just syntax highlighting. The auto-completion, for example, in C++, comes from our code model module, which is based on itself. It's based on Clang. So it allows us to not only parse the source code, but also give some semantic meaning to it. And I'm not going to comment on the not tabs part. This is a deliberate choice. It's a slightly religious one, someone would say. But what's important here is that it's the plugin spot. Qt Creator is basically a plugin hub, and many of the features, if not all of the features I have talked about so far, are actual plugins that work together inside Qt Creator, and Qt Creator manages to take them all together and work nicely and give you a nice experience. So where can you get Qt Creator? Let me hide this. You can get it through the regular Qt Online installer, as I mentioned before. Qt Creator is available through our SDK. So as soon as you install Qt, the most regular way, you would get Qt Creator installed. You can also download it as a standalone package. Notice that even though it's a standard package, Qt Creator will come with its own version of Qt. And also the same if you download it through the SDK. What happens is, it comes with its own version of Qt, and it will be always based on the latest available version of Qt when Qt Creator is released. It is not a particularly different version of Qt. It's the same regular Qt version, but it comes with it so that you don't need to install the latest version always. You can just focus on which version of Qt you have installed and just run Qt Creator. And this is also what you get for free when you download Qt Creator as a standalone package. And finally, and like many parts of the Qt project itself, you can build it from source. And we do this ourselves now and then, so yes, it works. But enough talking. Let's switch to, let's go and see the application itself. Let me see if there are any questions. All right, here. So this is my current installation of Qt. Well, it's not the only versions of Qt I have on my machine, but these are those that are that I have installed through the online installer. And as you can see, it comes with Qt Creator already. It will not appear on this directory on Windows and Linux. It should appear under a tools subdirectory of this, but you will get it installed all the same. So let's launch it. And every time you launch Qt Creator, you will get this what we call welcome screen. And what it lists here is, for example, the list of recent projects. I used to have many more, but I decided to clean it a bit just for this presentation. But then again, more projects started piling up. You also have the list of sessions. So sessions are just, let's see a couple here, for example, are just a set of projects you have open for that session, and then it keeps track also of which files were open, of the editor configuration, things like that. So it allows you to switch from one setup to another one fairly quickly. This is very convenient. I recommend you to use it. Here again, I cleaned it a bit because things were starting piling up. But you can have as many as you want, of course. Other things, sorry, you can do from the welcome screen is open a new project, or open, sorry, an old project, or create a new project. We will see this in a moment. Other things available here from the welcome screen on this left panel is the examples view. All these examples are part of the Qt documentation as well, and you can just click on one of the examples and it will open the example code and some documentation, and it gets you started. Some of them are applications in their own right, but more often than not, you just want to know about a new feature or inside Qt, and you want to start playing with it and tweaking and so on. So it gets you started, and you can be more productive, or at least discover these features fairly quickly without having to write your own application. And finally, we have a list of tutorials that are available. Most of these are videos from past sessions of our Qt World Summit. There's a few of these. Please feel free to look at them. Again, you select one, it will show you the video and so on. So let's go back to the projects view, and I'm not going to create a new project, but I'm going to open a new session because I want to show you how things look when they are in a pristine state. So I'm just going to open this old project I have here. And so this is the basic edit view. I don't have any document open, so you will see this screen here. But let's go and look at this column here on the far left, which is our mod column. And we saw before that we were here in the welcome mode. Here we're in the edit mode. This is where you would open files and so on and start typing. If you had any of the UI Designer files available or selected, this design mode would light up, will become enabled, and so you could select it. Here we have debug mode, you notice that it's basically the same as the edit mode, but it added these panels here at the bottom, which show the stack trace here, and we will see later when we debug the application, but we will see local variables and the list of breakpoints and so on. We also have the projects mode. If we had more than one project available, it will show up here in the list, or available, sorry, I mean open. It will show here in this list, where right now we only have one. It allows you also to choose which version of Qt you want to run this project against. And then it allows you to configure how you're going to build this project, how you're going to run this project. So it's fairly customizable per project. As you can see, I have other versions of Qt that does this, that I show you in the installation. My daily work deals deals in part about fixing bugs inside Qt. So yes, I need to test different older versions. That's why so many show up here. And finally, we have the help mode. This is basically a page on the documentation. The one that is installed usually will welcome you with this Qt Creator manual, which I recommend you to look at once you get your hands on to Qt Creator. And you can also search here for, inside the documentation, and this is the Qt documentation, so you can search for classes like QLabel, and then it shows you which versions you want to see, let's say 5.8, and so you get the regular documentation. Again, very convenient. I recommend you to look into this. But let's go back to our project, and let's look at this navigation bar here on the side. This where it says projects, and this is the default one where it shows you the available the projects you have open. So in this case, we have only open one project called Splitterception, where you can show the header files and the source files. You can open a source file, for example. This is how you would see one of your regular files. There's nothing very complicated about it. You can see that we have syntax highlighting and so on. What I'm going to do is increase the font size. You can do this using Control+ on Windows or Linux, or Command+ on Mac. You can look at other files like this color widget file, and you see how it, it's just a regular file. There's not much to say about it. We can open this main widget file, and you can. So this gives you a way of navigating through your project, but the problem is that, well, it's not really a problem, but it involves you grabbing your mouse and clicking things around, and many people like keyboard on interaction, and we think that it's an important part of the user experience, so that you can use your keyboard and be more productive instead of going and clicking things around. And for this, I'm going to introduce the search box. Search box is this small box here at the bottom, and it's a very convenient. It has many different modes to search, so you can search by default. You can search for files you have open or that are inside your any of your projects. It also allows you, for example, query for functions inside the current file. So make splitters, and then it takes you to that function. It also interfaces with other tools like Git, and then you can do some Git, let's say Git log of this project, and here is the log for this project so far. I mentioned before the integrated part of Qt Creator, and what I meant that when I said that it's not only a few things that we put together, but we make them work together. And this is an example here with Git. Git is an external plugin. And as you can see, we bring support for the search box, which is one part. We bring support for visualizing files inside Qt or the editor windows. We also get support here in this Projects Explorer. It gives you which branch you're on currently, and besides all the other actions you can access through the regular menus. So that was a small digression, but it's just to give you an idea of how what we mean by integration inside Qt. Okay. Let's go back to this navigation bar here. You can have, of course, more than one. So here I have projects, and I can open a second one, which will be the file system. File system will show you all the files or inside the directory that contains the file that is active, that has focus on your editor. There's other views, for example, the class view. This will go and find all the classes inside your project and display them this way. And well, I let you explore, but you have like type hierarchy. Let's select. Do we need to select? Okay, this is not working for this one, but you have other. Okay, outline here. It shows you all the symbols inside the file and so on. So you get an idea of all the views you can have, and it allows you to quickly have a quick view of what is currently going on in your file or in your project, apart from navigating it. Let's go back to the editor windows here. This, of course, we don't. I said before we don't support tabs, but we support having more than one editor view. And the way you do it is via here. You can split. This would split vertically, and you can go and open other files, and so you can compare, or maybe the same file you want to compare two files or something like that. You can split different ways. You can split vertically, side by side, like this. Okay, you get the idea. Here, of course, the font size is large enough, so to me it doesn't make much sense, but it all depends on your own tastes. These are also available through the menu bar, and it has shortcuts. So splitting vertically is Control A2, and splitting side by side is Control E3, and so on. So I'll let you explore this. There's also other things you can do here. You already saw me doing it. Is like you can select here among the documents that are already open. So you can switch from one to the other. This other combo box allows you to select symbols. It's a bit like the outline view we have on the lower left part. So you can jump straight into, sorry, into one of the function definitions. And finally, you have this navigation, which allows you to go back and forth where basically the cursor has been, the text cursor has been. So if you jump from one function to the other, you want to go function back to the previous function again, you would just use either these arrows, or more conveniently, you can press Alt arrow or Alt Command arrow on Mac. Other things we can see here in the text editor, and especially in this function, well, apart from the line numbering, you have collapsible blocks and so on. So like any regular modern editor. But if you pay attention here, you will see that someone is complaining about my code. And this is, again, integration with the code model and C++ support as a whole. That tells you, helps you in your code and tells you, hey, maybe your code is not right now. So I give you a chance to fix it before you go through. So before you go through the whole compilation and so on. So here, as you see, it already saying that there's a semantic issue, that you can't assign a non-static data member with a const member function. So, shall we trust this compiler or not? What I say is, let's run the project, let's run the application and see what happens. And to this, I'm going to introduce you to one of the last parts of the Creator UI, and it's this run project selection and running buttons here at the bottom left. And here you would select which project you want to run, if it's configured for more than one version of Qt, as we've seen before in the projects mode panel. You could select which one, and you want to build it in debug or release and so on. This is the run button, as its shape implies. This is the start debugging. So instead of running the regular way, you just want to launch the debugger and so on. And this is just to build your project. All these are, of course, keyboard shortcuts attached. So you don't need to go and again reach the mouse. So let's try and run it and see if our code model was right or was just trying to scare us about something. And indeed, there are a couple error messages here. And this will introduce you to the last part of the UI we haven't seen yet, and it's this button bar where you have all these panels you can look into, which bring you some information. This the first one brings you all these issues that your creator may have encountered. Could be while building a project, while opening a project, and so on. You will see these issues here. These are search results. You can start searching from here, do a global search maybe in the whole project or in other places, and the search results will appear here. We'll see this in a moment. Application output, if you're debugging, let's say, an application and you want to print some stuff and you want to see how things are going, you can check here. Compile output, as we saw earlier, we had some errors, and we see here the errors the same, except that the issues panel is a bit more to the point, and here you will see, compile output, you will see everything. And debugger console, this is useful when you're debugging your application. So let's go back here to the issues, and what it says is that, as we saw before, we cannot assign a non-static data member within const member function make splitters. Sorry. And okay, this is very well possible. Last time I ran this application, it was working. Was I walking into something and then I move out of this project and suddenly it doesn't work? Have I forgotten something? So again, we can go back to the search box. Now I just press Command K, and I can say git diff the whole project. And indeed, it seems like I was in the middle of some code refactoring, moving this this variable from being a static variable to be a member variable, and I might have moved to something else and left things in the middle of something. So let me close this. Another thing I forgot to mention, if you want to close these panels, they are accessible either via Control 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as the number indicates here, on Linux and Windows, or Command 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on Mac. But if you want to dismiss them, you can always press the dismiss button here, or you can press ESC. ESC will always try to move things out of the way so that you're again in edit mode and you see your code all along. Okay, so this is pretty easy. That means that I just need to go and make this make splitters function non-const. So I remove the const here, and if you notice, you will see that we have this light bulb here that shows up. And this light bulb is, again, the code model telling us that, hey, we think you're doing something with your code. Maybe we can help you now. And so if we press Alt, Enter, it will show you all the actions you can apply or you can do right now to make the code model happy. And here we just changed this function signature in a way. And so if you press Enter, what it will do is change it also in the header file. So if we go and look for main widget.h, we see that it changed here again. It will already change it for you. And we can do it both ways. So if I remove the const function, the const specifier here, we can press Alt, Enter, and here you see there are other actions that are available, but the one we're interested in right now is applying the function change, the signature change. And if we go back, if you go back to the definition file, you will see that make layouts as well, which had an error, a similar error message is not const anymore. Now we can save, and these were the two issues, one for make splitters function that is not const anymore, and the other one for make layouts that is not const anymore. All right, this has worked. Let's try to improve the code a bit more. Let's say that we have as coding convention that member functions to be prefixed by m underscore. And for example, let's see a couple, one more thing before is we can see where the symbol is being used right now. So just to make sure that we did all the transition properly, that it used to be a static function, and now we want to make sure that we don't have any more compiler errors. So when you do find usages, it will show you all the places this symbol is being used. So there's only these 3 places. This looks okay as a member function, as a member variable, sorry. This looks okay, this looks okay, and the last one looks okay. If you double click, for example, you will see it will take you to the line where the variable is being used. So you can start doing your thing. So this is when it's used. I don't see anything wrong with this right now. What we do is just rename the variable. This is also part of the refactoring tool. So for example, yes, we're just going to rename it and add m underscore. This also does a search, will search for all the usages of the symbol, and you will see that it's exactly the same as before. And here, if for some reason you don't want to rename in some parts, you can uncheck, unselect one of these checkboxes, and it will skip the renaming in that place. But we do want to do it everywhere. So I click replace, and you see that it has renamed everything. And if we go back, so there's a shortcut to go back between, or to switch between header and definition file, and it's F4. So if you press F4, you will see that here it has been changed already. All right, now we're ready to run the application. And here it is. Okay, the application is a bit silly. It's an example I was writing before, so I was doing some benchmarking. You see here at the bottom all the output. There's a lot of output. The output itself is not very interesting, but here is what you would see your application running, basically. If we switch back to the application, well, this is it. What is I don't remember doing is having all these red squares. This looks a bit boring, and I remember that the squares were colorful at some point, and they were not only zeros all over the place. So let's try to find out why this is happening. And for this, we're going to debug the application. So let's quit the application, and let's go back to our main widget here. And yes, we instantiated this color widget, so we're going to do the same thing as before. We're going to try to find all the usages of this class. And okay, yes, there's a color widget.cpp, and that symbol is used there, so this is not surprising. Same for the header file, and it seems that we have here color widget reset count and two places where we instantiate color widget. Okay. Before we start debugging, let's do something a bit. Let's refactor the code a bit. You can see that here, make splitters and make layout. These 3 lines of code that are the same, and that we could refactor, and so we only need to track changes in one place. Yes, you can do here with the refactor menu, or you can select your text and press Option or Alt Return, and it will propose as actions to extract the function. So you give it a name, make widget. Let's make it private because it doesn't need to be public in this case. And we press OK. And suddenly we have a new function here, and it replaced the bit of text we moved out into a function as with a function call. Notice that it only did it for this one. We don't have ways of looking for patterns all over the place, but here, for example, we can just replace all this code now and just have a call to make widget. The function itself is what you would expect, except that we don't have very good support for the auto keyword, so it couldn't infer which type we want to return. Here we know it, as the name implies, it's going to be a QWidget. And here again, I'm using, if you press Control Space, it will invoke the code completion, and you can select which class, but this is just QWidget. It also saves you time while you're typing. Notice once more here the light bulb, and if we press apply function changes, function signature changes, we just change the type, or actually we set the type for that function. So if we do this, it should have changed the header file. Let's just quickly check the header file that everything is good. Yes, we have it here. We don't need to do much more. Let's just move it up a bit. Okay. Let's quickly run the application to make sure everything is working. And it looks the same as before, no surprise. We just refactor some code. So that gives you an idea of what it would do. All right, but let's try to fix this bug. As I said, I remember that things were looking a bit different. So let's put a breakpoint, let's say here, because what we want to know is we instantiate this new widget from this color widget class, and we want to know why it is 0, it is showing 0 all the time, and why it is red all the time. So let's start debugging. As I mentioned before, when you start debugging, it will switch to the debug mode here on the left side, and it shows the debugging panels. Here we have the stack trace, and here we have local variables. And well, the stack trace, main splitters and main layout are both recursive functions. So yes, you see them quite a few times inside the stack trace, and you can go and switch from one to the other and see which steps of the recursion you are, or the function call you are actually. So here we see that color widget, this first one has another thing, yes, I wanted to mention. Here you don't see just a pointer to a color widget type. We know it's a Q widget, so we'll show you its parent class, we'll show you its private object, which is a common pattern we use inside Qt. We will see some of the properties, and finally the member variables. And instead of showing you a pointer address, you can change this if you wish to. We'll show you its name, because sometimes you give names to your widgets or your objects so that you can debug it easier and you know what's going on. So the first one has name 0, and it has an mwidget ID here equal to 0, so it all looks fine. Let's go and instantiate a few more. Okay, second one looks the same. This is not looking good already. Third one's looking the same. So we instantiated a few more, and this has not changed, right? It's a distant function call, but and we stop at the same point, but it has not changed. What this is showing us is always the same name. Well, size hint, this is not our concern right now, but same widget ID. So what we're going to do is remove this breakpoint and set a new breakpoint here a bit further up before we call, during the call to the color widget constructor. So let's try and go in once more. So here I was pressing this continue button. And what we're going to do right now is not step over, but step into. We want to know what's happening inside the constructor. So we move in, and this object here is our color widget. You will notice it doesn't have a name yet. That's why it's showing you, or it's not even instantiated actually. And if we do step over, we'll see how now it suddenly has a name, set object name. So the name is the same as the widget ID as it shows here. And so we want to know what's going on with this widget ID, and also the color which we're using to paint it also depends on widget ID. So it seems that widget ID is always 0, and we're going to do the same. We're going to find all the usages of this widget ID here in the header file, okay. And here we see that this is where it's supposed to be initialized, and it's always 0. And if we look at, we're trying to see, let's see the parents, we see that the widget count is also 0. So we'll try to find out what's going on with this widget count and why it's not, where is it being used, and why is it not or should it be incremented at some other point? But it seems that it's only being used for initialization. This reset count which resets it to 0. That's okay. But it seems that we're forgetting something, and probably the best thing to do to fix this is to increment it just like here. And so let's see if this works. So we can start the debugger right now, and we can even, so if we escape several times, this should take us to a cleaner state. So first escape will close the output panel, second escape will close the debug panel and get us back to the edit edit mode, sorry. Let's run it and let's see what happens. And now we have all these colorful widgets all over the place. So we fix it, and we can be pat ourselves in the back. So success. So I recommend you to go and look at other debug your own applications. There are other tools that just debugging. You have this Clang Static Analyzer. If you have Valgrind installed, you can do memcheck or callgrind runs. And if you're developing a QML application, you can use the QML profiler. I'll go quickly through the settings. So the settings are available through either the application menu preferences, as on most Mac applications, or on Windows and Windows and Linux, sorry, it should be under the Tools menu, in the menu bar. So you can configure the color of the frames around in Qt Creator. So if you change the color here, you will see red. This is one of the settings that is also saved for the sessions. We have keyboard. You can configure your keyboard shortcuts to your liking. What else do we have? Let's go quickly through them. Here you can configure your color scheme as you like it. You have also syntax highlighters. This you can download as many as you want. They're all compatible with the Kate editor from the KDE project, if you're familiar with that. Other things that may interest you, if you're a VI user, I'm personally an Emacs user, so I cannot help you much with that. But if you're a VI user, you can enable this fake Vim mode, and it should give you similar keyboard navigation as with Vim. Other things that are of interest, this build and run settings. Here's where all your configured or visible to Qt Creator versions of Qt are available. So kits are basically versions of Qt here, together with a compiler here. You can extend this on your own, and so on. And finally, we can see here on the devices panel, I will let you discover all the others, so you can refer to the manual. And the devices panel will show all the devices you have currently configured inside Qt Creator, so you can, if you're running Qt or iOS application development, you can readily deploy from Qt Creator. So this is it for today. Thank you for your attention, and I give you here a few links where you can download Qt and Qt Creator, qt.io/download. You can read the manual either from within Qt Creator or from your browser at doc.qt.io/Qt Creator, or you can join the Qt community on Freenode, on hash Qt-Creator channel. Thank you very much, and let's see if we have some questions. So we had one question. Can you sort functions? I'm not sure what that means exactly. But let's see if we can sort functions. This is the outline, and I don't see any options. Some of these tools have options. No, I don't think this is available. We don't see we don't usually sort functions because, for example, if you do that, you would break binary compatibility if it's virtual functions you're sorting, and so on. So, to the best of my recollection, I don't think we have such a feature. Does it support unit tests like Google Test? We do have a unit test framework, and it's integrated with Qt. I don't know what the status of this is, but it may be that you need to wait for the next update. Someone may be able to answer that better than me. But yes, if it's not there already, it's coming pretty soon. We are going to integrate our own suite of unit testing with Qt Creator. And what would one want to choose another version of Qt Creator? Well, maybe this, I don't think anybody wants to use another version of Qt Creator. What you would want to do is choose, or at least this is my everyday job. So we have customers that use any kind of versions of Qt itself, not of Qt Creator. And so, yes, we need to support them because we all know how software development works, right? We add new features. That also means we add new bugs, or we fix bugs, but then we break something else. And when you start developing your application, you get knowledge of the current Qt version, and you get familiar with it. You get also familiar with its quirks, and you don't want to change. You want to minimize the number of moving pieces around so that you can stabilize your application much faster. So yes, that's one of the reasons why I have many versions of and different builds of Qt. I don't know. So there's a question if there's any way of customization at method refactor. I'm not sure I understand the question, sorry. The new Gui Designer program. There is no new Gui Designer separate program, but let me create here quickly a new modeling, not modeling, what is it? Qt. QML, Qt Quick UI file. And let's call it test. Okay, done. And this is our, oh, what happened? Let me see. It seems that I lost this. Oh, here it is. And this would be the new Qt Quick Designer. Since I added it to the current project and the current project doesn't support Qt Quick, this is not looking very nicely. Let me start again. Not sure what's going on. I'm suspecting OpenGL is playing me tricks with the webinar presentation program. Let's create a new project altogether, a new application, Qt Quick controls to application. Choose. Let's give it this name. Continue. Let's use. No, let's use 5.8. Done. And so here resources QMLRC, and here is the form. So here it is. And again, I'm sorry about this. I don't know why it's disconnecting my screen all the time I switch to an OpenGL page. And it might be an issue with the presentation software. But basically, yes, this is the new Qt Quick Designer, and it works pretty much the same as the previous designer. So you can grab a button here and you have all the properties showing up on the side and so on. So it's not a separate designer, but it's not a separate application, but it's just something that is integrated inside KitQuick. So how do I pull up outline view? Let me go back. Oh, sorry. There we go. Let me go back. So when you have on this navigation bar here on the side, the title itself is a combo box. So you can select different types of view if you want the type hierarchy. Okay, this doesn't have type hierarchy here, or class view for some project and so on. So this is how, or for not some project, for all the projects actually. Yes, so this is how you would do it. Okay, yes. Could you show how to enable design tools? Design tools, you don't enable them by themselves. It's just you need to have a design file in its own. So here I created a new KitQuick project, and when I selected the form.ui file, it switched to the designer, and this is how it gets enabled. But if you go back, it's going to cut, and going back, I'm going to press it one more time. But if I open a C++ file, so you see that the design mode is disabled because this is not a valid. If I go back and select form file, I'm going to try to do this. I'm going back and sharing again. If I go back to this, I'm sorry, this is a bit annoying. We didn't try this before, but I need to reconnect all the time. So you don't enable it itself, you just happen to select a design file, it will automatically switch to the design form. And you can switch back to the edit form, so you can edit it as a regular text file if you want to. How good is it to handle large projects, for example, with project of more than 1 million lines of code? I don't know how many lines of code there's inside Qt, but I do use Qt Creator to open Qt and open usually a couple hundred files, open files in the editor itself, not counting all the files that are inside the project. So yes, it's pretty good. The Qt project itself and all its code base is our regular, so to speak, it's our regular testing project. So yes, it's good enough to support several 100,000, even million, several 100,000 files, and not even lines of code. Can the debugger locals and expressions of the protected members of a custom container class? Yes, it does show protected and private members. That is for all debuggers. We can quickly go back to debugging. So let's do this, and I'm going to debug the application again. And let's see if we can stop here. There it is, and W. So it's here size hint and widget ID are inside color widget. So I'm going to press F2. That gets me to the class declaration. And here size hint and widget ID are themselves, and ncolor are themselves private members. So yes, the debugger can actually do that for you. How to set up Qt Creator for Android. This is outside the scope of this webinar. I'd recommend you to look at the documentation, but of course it involves having to install the Android SDK and I believe NDK as well. I don't know if that is any longer necessary, and you should, yes, once you have that installed, I think Qt Creator will find it for you. You also need to have, of course, a Android build version of Qt. Is there an easy method to convert other IDE projects as well as source files into Qt Creator projects automatically? I don't know for other IDE projects, but for example, Qt Creator can read off CMake files, and we have plugins for Visual Studio. I don't think we have any, not to my knowledge, there is no conversion tools from, let's say, Visual Studio into Qt Creator project. Because what we need is a Qt project. Qt Creator reads Qt projects, so those need to are configured differently than more platform-dependent projects. And I think, and last question for today: are there any available profilers on the Windows like Valgrind for Linux, which could be used easily with Qt Creator? Unfortunately, not yet. I know we have, the interfacing with Valgrind is relatively recent. Right? It takes maybe a couple of years. I cannot talk about the pipeline because I don't know it in detail. I don't know which. The problem is that many of the tools on Windows, or the profiler tools on Windows, are commercial only, and we prefer, if possible, to support open source or free at least tools. So no, the same reason that we don't support instruments on Mac, which is the platform preferred way of profiling applications. We don't support other tools on Windows than Valgrind. Okay. Thank you very much, and I hope you enjoyed this webinar. Please give feedback, and we will be sending out the recording, or we'll be notifying when the recording is ready, and we're sending out the slides as well. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.